Katie, great to see you. Thanks for
You.
joining today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, I got to say, I've been looking forward to talking to you and speaking with you because I just love your brand and everything that you're doing. And I know we're going to dig into a lot of your collaborations that you're doing with Bridgerton and Vogue and some other things. So excited to kind of hear about that and dig in. But I've been looking forward to kind of speaking with you. And I just want to start by saying thank you because not only have you been a great customer, but I've been a customer
Oh,
and I
nice.
used Urban Stems for some Mother Day flowers for my mom this year. So sent her a nice bouquet. She loved them. Everything just worked super well.
Good.
So
That's the
so
goal. You
we're
like
mutual
support.
customers. Yeah,
Good, good.
yeah.
That's good to hear.
So let's dig into the discussion today. And I know you're just doing some amazing work. And so we wanted a chance to just kind of talk to you directly around, brand marketing, digital experiences, commerce. But maybe we'll just start for everybody that doesn't know you and doesn't know Urban Stems with some introductions. If you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, talk a little bit about you and your background, where you've been, and then a little bit about Urban Stems too and the year of
Yeah,
the business. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So I've actually been at Urban Stems for 7 going on 8 years now. So when I came on to Urban Stems, I started as a copywriter. I previously had agency experience, working at a PR agency. And when I came onto Urban Stems, we were a local floral delivery service. So we were offering same day delivery. We started in DC, and then expanded to New York. Within the year that I was there, things kind of started to ramp up. We kind of knew, like, to be a player in the floral space, we needed to expand, we needed to offer nationwide delivery. And from there, we expanded. We had a partnership with FedEx, and we, within, I would say, like 8 to 9 months, launched nationwide delivery. So that was like probably back in like 2016, 2017. So we offered next day delivery to the lower 48 states. We are currently working on offering delivery to Alaska and Hawaii as well, which is exciting. And in that time, too, we have expanded. So we still have same day delivery in New York and DC, but we also have it in Miami, in LA, and a few other cities as well. So same day is still a priority for us and kind of expanding there, but we want to make sure that in the time that we've grown, that we are still, different from our competitors in that we're offering a more premium bouquet. Our designs are more modern. We have an in-house florist who works on every collection to make sure it really feels modern and unique too. And one thing we're kind of toying with as we go into this year, our fiscal year starts in July, is kind of what does really differentiate us. We know our designs do, we know our quality of service does, but to the customer, how do we kind of showcase that as well? And we really do feel like the urban side of Urban Stems is going to become more and more important to us. And our photography and our creative really kind of embodies that. So that will probably be a direction that we go in to kind of play up like the kind of metropolitan city feel of our designs, and kind of helping us lead into the next year as like a true brand differentiator too. But yeah, over the past 10 years, we've certainly evolved like our brand direction, and that's something we're going through right now a little bit more. But yeah, we've seen a lot of growth and a lot of great partnerships in that time frame too.
Yeah, congrats on all the success. You built a great business and have been there through a lot of ebbs and flows. So maybe just, high level, what's really changed over the last, it's been a really interesting ride, right? The last 5 to 7 years have thrown a lot at us. So what have you kind of seen, both
Yeah.
successes and struggles over the last, five,
I
seven
would,
years?
yeah,
Yeah.
I would say, and I should mention too, just my role at the company has certainly evolved. I'm our content director, so I oversee all of our creative, all of our content. So whether that's our photo shoots, it's the content that you're seeing on site, our blog, our Fastr experiences, just making sure that that feels cohesive and on brand. But for us, what we've seen as a company, I would say, is during the pandemic, that was actually, like many e-commerce brands, a pretty valuable time for us. A lot of people who couldn't see people in person had a reason to send flowers, right? So that we saw huge success. And between 2020 and 2021, I think the challenge now is kind of making sure that people don't, how do we get people to send flowers and not make it an antiquated gesture? There's so many more ways to gift nowadays too. So kind of, we don't want to be seen as like, oh, who sends flowers anymore? That's why, we keep saying like modern or luxe or premium. Like, how do we kind of be seen as a little bit more on trend in terms of getting people to send flowers and finding a reason for people to send flowers? That's been a big challenge for us. So the number one reason people send with us is birthdays. And everyone has a birthday, and that's great. But how do we find these other reasons outside of just birthdays, outside of Valentine's Day, and outside of Mother's Day to get people to really want to send flowers? So that's something we're looking forward to, is finding almost these like press-worthy moments too to kind of capitalize on. And we can talk to that. There's something we're working on for Halloween and stuff, but giving our customers other reasons to send and encouraging them and inspiring them that flowers can be a 365-day gift. And it doesn't have to be just for these three holidays: birthday, Valentine's Day, and Mother's Day. That's going to be, I think, the big challenge for us.
Yeah. And I feel like you've definitely been on kind of leading edge of the trends, and certainly are thinking and executing on some very interesting things. So maybe just talk a little bit about some of the trends that you've seen kind of really explode this year, and what's the current, kind of trend landscape look like. And you got some interesting examples too, I know.
Yeah. Do you mean in terms of like faster trends of like what we've been doing and what we've been seeing, or
Yeah,
just
just exactly, like how are
yeah.
you leaning into the trends, what's working, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, I'll say like one thing that we've learned in the past couple years is um trends in names of our SKUs has done very well. So we have seen success in, as we go into different seasons, we might sell a bouquet year round, but we will change the name of the SKU by season, to kind of relate to maybe something that's of the moment in that time, or something that is seasonally appropriate for that time, and we will see conversion do much better. So it would be the exact same SKU, but for example, we had an all white peony bouquet during the holiday season. We had it 9 months out of the year, and it was called the Pearl. It was doing fine. It wasn't doing great. We renamed it, I think it was the Snow Peony or something like that, and we saw great improvement. So like little things like that, we're kind of just seeing as like trends of like how do we capitalize on that, and how do we really be agile and like mobile, and making sure we can kind of look at our data, on a daily, hourly basis, and start to find ways to kind of help conversion overall. But in terms of other trends that we're seeing, like what we've learned through Fastr too, is we started testing all of our paid ads go to a Fastr landing page that we've created. So we found in the past when we were driving to our homepage from ads or to just a PLP, the conversion rate was not doing as well as when we made it a more seamless experience of envisioning like somebody clicking our Instagram ad. Now they're on a landing page that has a similar image to the ad that they just saw on there. And what we did within Fastr too was we showcased products that were only in a certain price point at the very top of the page that they were landing on. So, you know, we pride ourselves on higher premium bouquet offerings, and we have a partnership with Vogue. Those are $100+ SKUs, and not everyone is willing to spend that much. So especially on the ad side, where often we might not have people having a reason to send right then, right out the gate of like, oh, I have to send bouquets right now. They might just like the ad and think, this is pretty, like, let me just look at what they have to offer. They might not necessarily convert. And so what we did with Fastr was we showcased lower price point SKUs in the top portion, and SKUs that we knew that specific audience we were targeting was more prone to shop for. So when we started to test that, we saw a much better conversion rate because we were not showcasing immediately right out the gate, hey, here's a $130 bouquet. And then the customer thinks, whoa, this brand is like way too high end. I can't even offer it. We want to make sure that we still have a wide range of price points for our customers, and that they're not immediately bouncing right when they see us, and that we're telling this brand story that we don't want to tell to this specific audience. So that was one thing. And then the other thing too that we've seen over the past year is really this like less is more mentality, I would say. We have, God, probably like 50+ SKUs in our assortment, which in the grand scheme of things is not that much for an e-commerce company, but it feels like a lot when you're editing all the imagery and stuff. It's can be tiring. Um, but what we found too is, at least on the paid side, we ABC tested 25 SKUs, 15 SKUs, 10 SKUs on PLPs, just to see like what is the sweet spot. And what we found was 15 was like the sweet spot. For some reason, when we dropped it down to 10, the conversion rate wasn't as good. When we brought it back up to like 20, 25, the conversion rate wasn't good. So that's something we're really focused on. And we definitely see that performance happen during Valentine's Day and during Mother's Day, when the intent is, I want to see what you have to offer, but I don't want to be like so overwhelmed. And so just give me like your top 15 SKUs at a certain price point. And that's like really been our tried and true. We've tested other versions of it, and 15 continues to win out for us.
I love that. There's so much to unpack in what you just said. I think hopefully people are getting a lot of what you out of what you just kind of shared with us. But a couple of things kind of popped out for me. One is like you're really testing the experience itself, and so the number of SKUs to show, and it is an important kind of test factor. Way beyond just colors and layouts. You're actually kind of testing what to kind of show. And how long did it take you to kind of iterate and get to a point where you dialed in on that being like the most,
I
highest
think,
converting
well, I
PLP?
think it was pretty quick actually, but I
Yeah.
will say too, I should mention our PLPs, because we are a gifting site and we are a perishable product. Our PLPs are often constantly changing in terms of order, because if something is not in stock, it will drop to the bottom, or if something is not available for the day you're looking for it, because often if you're shopping for a birthday, you want to get it on their birthday. If it's not available, then you're going to see the product drop. So what we found was like we didn't have as much control in what the customer was seeing on our normal PLP experience. So you might see in the Boston area a SKU for $88 in the top spot, whereas I might see something for like $130 because the inventory is being pulled out of different places. So that was one thing where we're like, we don't love that. Like, how do we kind of control this so we know what our customer is seeing when they land on our PLPs? So that was the initial like problem to solve, that we were like, how do we do this? How do we not tie it to like inventory right now? Because sometimes that paid customer might not be as tied to a certain date. They just want to see overall what we have to offer. So that's where this came out of, was we created an experience saying, what if we just showed our top 5 products in a static Fastr landing page, and it's not tied to inventory. It's tied to like what we know we have to offer the customer. But and that was the beginning of that test. And then from there, I think we just did a lot of competitive research to see what we liked, what other brands were doing for their paid social landing pages. And in terms of testing, like what, the amount and the assortment and everything, I think that originally came out of Valentine's Day. We had a hunch that, so our audience switches as we go into Valentine's Day and more men come to our site. We are like 85% of our audience is female most of the year, except for Valentine's Day. So that's a challenge in itself. And what we found was men, I don't want to stereotype, but most men that came to our site just wanted to get in and get out and like keep the assortment small. So that was the kind of the catalyst of like, well, what if we tried like smaller assortments to see like if we can get them to convert? And then from there, I would say like the test didn't take long at all, because we were also putting a lot of spend behind Valentine's Day. So we were able to get a lot of people to these landing pages. But I would say like 2 to 3 weeks, we were able to kind of have some learnings and then bring it to our ecom team too and say like, hey, this is what we're seeing. This might be something that we want to try just on our own PLPs too.
Love it. I love it. So you're connecting kind of the social campaign to a landing page that's personalized for that, for that visitor, both the campaign, but also, I guess what you know about that visitor.
Yeah,
And you're doing it at scale. And so different visitors are going to see not only different landing pages, but different personalization around, products and SKUs and how many.
exactly.
Uh,
Yep. Yeah. And
yeah.
we started to expand that. So I will say too, originally we started using Fastr. It solely came on board for us as like a paid mechanism of like, how do we knew we wanted to create landing pages for our paid audience. In that time, and we've been with you guys for a while, it has completely expanded. If you go to a lot of our just normal PLPs on site, you will see a faster experience, kind of the one I'm talking about, of like the static 5 modules. And we have A/B tested that with the ecom team, and it always wins out, like having that faster module on there, which is exciting. And then it's something that we've also explored on our CRM channels. So we now sometimes with certain email segments will create a faster experience to know that, like, okay, we're emailing this segment, we're giving them a discount code. So one thing we did recently was we did an SMS to a certain audience. We didn't tell them what the promo code was. We just said, get 20% off by clicking here, probably something less salesy than that. But we found that, like, oh, if we put everything in the SMS up front, our click-through rate is not going to do as well, because we're just like,
Yeah.
hey, here's the promo code.
Yeah.
So we A/B tested, and we tried the B variant where we didn't say the code until you clicked, and then within the faster experience, we put like use code flowers20 for 20% off. Then they're on the PLP. So, and we saw much better performance on click-through rate there, of like building a little bit of intrigue too. So that's something we'll continue as we go into the fall season, which fall starts to ramp up for us too in terms of revenue. So we're trying all these like little tests here and there in the summer when it's a little slower for us too.
Yeah, yeah. And so thank you for that. So it sounds like you've kind of compared so faster to non-faster experiences, and you're seeing, one convert better. Do you have is there any data you can share? Any
Yeah. So I have
nuggets?
jotted down, because like we've
Yeah.
been testing it throughout the year. So when we did it, we first did, so we've done a few tests. Mother's Day is where we first started like a bigger test for us on the paid side. So we did an ABCD test for the 3 to 4 weeks leading up to Mother's Day. I will note we did this because too, Mother's Day is our biggest holiday. A lot of people think it's Valentine's Day, but it's Mother's Day. And what we wanted to do was just test different layouts for our experience. And one thing we're starting to really lean into this year is video. So we had like a nice brand video that we shot, and we were like, oh, I wonder if you've never heard of us and you click into our ad, could a video help? Like, could it help kind of from a brand awareness side? So that was one experience. And then we did our normal experience. We did one with testimonials, and we kind of kept testing there. I will say that when we did that, one learning, and I don't have the specific data on this, but I can speak to the winner and then I'll get into other data points. But when we did the video on our landing page for all of our meta ads, 2 to 3 weeks before Mother's Day, that was converting much better than the other variants, which was surprising, because I thought, well, maybe video, people don't want to like watch that. It's mostly mobile traffic that we're getting from our social ads. But it was performing really well, which was exciting because video is not cheap. And, that was kind of like a big swing for us. But that was huge for us. But then we kept the test going, and we narrowed it down to just the video version and then just the testimonial version. And we kept seeing video win out until 1 week before Mother's Day. And then it switched. And our shorter version with just like testimonials and like, here's the 5 products, won out. So that was like also telling, because it's like people who are waiting last minute, they don't have time to watch a video, they just want to like shop. That has been really helpful for us too, like knowing when we go into like these major holidays or these major moments, when we kind of need to flip the script a little bit and remind ourselves maybe it's not quite as much about brand awareness as it is about just conversion and getting them through the funnel. So that was one thing. And then the other thing I will say is we tested it for Mother's Day, just the 5 products across just on our Mother's Day PLP. So not tied to paid traffic, just like if you came to urbanstems.com/Mother's Day, we tested our normal PLP versus a PLP with a faster experience. And when I say that, I just mean those 5 products and like shop Mother's Day. We saw a 5% increase on conversion when we did the faster module. So like the 5 right there. And that was nice too, because same thing what I was talking about earlier, our ecom team was able to kind of choose what products they want to put in those 5 spots. Even if we found too, like, oh, this one SKU is not selling as well, let's put it in the top spot and see if it kind of, maybe it just keeps falling down to the bottom of the PLP. Like, let's bring it up and highlight it. It's also been nice if we have certain SKUs on sale, we can put them in the top spot. So we did that for Mother's Day, and that was exciting. And that really came from what we learned in Valentine's Day too, that we were able to go to the e-com team and be like, you guys should consider this. We might want to try this on other pages.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I'll say is we did it on the spring PLP, so spring flowers as well. And we A/B tested the same thing. That was like a huge jump. We saw a 25% increase in conversion when we put the Fastr module on. Spring for us just does well in general. It's a time where people think about florals and stuff, but it was also like showcasing a new collection, and we were able to kind of just like play it up in the top spot. So that was like a great win for us. And then now, like, we continue testing it, but we almost feel like pretty confident that we know which one's going to win out. So if you were to go to like the /birthday, I think we have it on /flowers, which is like our main PLP. Those all have Fastr experiences on them because, again, we just have seen better conversion rate overall.
Wow, that's incredible. Those are some great stats. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, and congrats. I mean, it sounds like it's been a great year so far, and you're starting, I guess, your new fiscal year, you said. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
that's great. You mentioned earlier you've got some like exciting kind of brand partnerships. I know you do a lot of like, interesting kind of creative work around, Bridgerton and Vogue and a few others. Can you talk just a little bit about how that kind of plays into your strategy, how you use them, and how you go about marketing
Yeah.
around that? Yeah.
Yeah. So Vogue, we've had as a partnership. And that's been really valuable for us when I talk about like, how are we more premium? How do we kind of go into this more luxe space and differentiate ourselves? Vogue has been huge for us in that realm. We've had a partnership with them for the last, I want to say, like 3 years. And every season we change, we usually have 2 to 3 SKUs in the collection for Vogue, and we change what we're offering every season. And each SKU comes with a vase. So it's definitely like a more premium offering. It's at least 120 plus to spend on one of the Vogue products. But the challenge we were met with a while ago, we were not on the platform that we're currently on. So it was all like a built-in house platform. We had a Vogue landing page. When we switched over to our current platform, we did not. We knew it was going to have to be like a dev request to go to them and be like, hey, we got to like rebuild this whole Vogue landing page. We need to be able to tell the story. And, the dev team had bigger priorities or different priorities, which is completely fine, like completely understandable, because sometimes I think on the brand marketing side, those can be pushed by the wayside. Like, it's like, oh, we're going to tell this story and it's going to look so beautiful. And it's like, all right, is it going to make us money? Like, how important actually is this? So finally, I think we just kind of said, all right, I think we can build this in Fastr and like kind of tell that story. And it's something that we've been doing, like our About Us page is built in Fastr. So we knew it was possible. And so what we did was we worked with our UI UX designer, brought her in and said like, hey, here's what we need. I would say this was like a 2 to 3 week project, if that, and just kind of worked with the brand marketing team on here's what we want included. We shot a Vogue related video for it because, as I said, like we kind of knew video was working well for Mother's Day. So we're like, let's keep this going, especially with Vogue, like such an editorial fashion focused brand that would really warrant itself to like a nice video. And we built it on Fastr. So now I think it's just /Vogue on our site, but we now have this landing page, which has been huge for us because previously, if you went to /Vogue, it would just show the 2 SKUs on a PLP. There'd be no brand story. You would kind of be like, what is this? Like, why are they partnering with Vogue? So we were able to kind of, again, tell a bit more of a story. And then we actually ran ads to that page too during Mother's Day. And we did video ads for it as well. And that performed very well for us. Whereas in the past, I felt like we were always like, oh, Vogue ads, they don't do as well. But I think it was because we just didn't have a compelling page to drive to. So that's been really valuable for us. And then from there, we are now able to use that landing page to build other brand partnerships. So when Bridgerton approached us, we were able to say like, hey, we could build something like this for the partnership. Like that's been huge because often when partners come to us, it's a little bit of like, well, how can we be showcased on your site? Like, how are we gonna like look and feel? And so that's something for our partnerships in general. We always pitch is like, hey, we can give you a dedicated landing page and we can drive our CRM or our paid ads to this landing page. But the Bridgerton one, same thing, was built in Fastr. It's kind of similar too. It was nice. We just duplicated the Vogue experience. It's 2 SKUs, updated the designs and everything. And just kind of went about it that way. But I would say that was like a 1 week process to kind of get that up and ready and getting traffic to drive to it. So again, like I said, it's just been great from like opportunity to pitch something else to a partner, to say like we can give you a dedicated landing page and tell a story that way, and have all of our channels drive to it too.
I love it. I love it. I mean, and they're beautiful pages. So anyone listening to this should go check them out. I mean, they're just gorgeous pages. And I think you're hitting on like it's opening up a lot of channels for for Urban Stems, right? To add more partnerships and to broaden your business. So love that we're in the middle of that and helping kind of support you on, on your business. So awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So as we look to like, we're going into the fall, we're going into the back half of the year, busy season for most of our customers, for you as well, I'm sure. What are you thinking about? Like what's on deck? What are the things you're
Yeah.
thinking about as we get into the next few months?
So the big thing for us, I think, as we go in and kind of looking at our customers, and again, I just keep going back to like the brand differentiator and like how do we kind of stand out from the crowd. We think education and video is going to be huge for us. So our product, while it's beautiful, can sometimes require some education around it of, it's, you need to cut the stems. If it's not blooming yet, you have to give it 2 days. And how do we kind of tell that story more? So that is something that we are going to be doing with our in-house floral designer too, and really playing him up and having him speak to the individual SKUs that we're going to be offering for the fall, why they're special, why they're unique, and showcasing those on our site. The other thing too is we're kind of in a predicament as we go into fall. We're working on replatforming to Shopify, but in the current state, we're not really able to have in an easy manner. If we could put in dev tickets, but they're busy replatforming, a way to host video on our PDPs. So one thing we're exploring is like, hey, all this video content that we're going to shoot and all this educational content that we're going to shoot about fall, can that just live as a Fastr landing page too, and kind of see how it performs there? So that's something that we're thinking about. But yeah, I would say like video, even outside of education, just showcasing our beautiful florals. It's a product that lends itself so well to video too, that like we should be doing this all the time. But finding different ways to showcase video on our homepage. We ran our homepage video for the first time, like as a hero. For the longest time, we were like, oh, we can't host video on our homepage, so we just won't do it. We worked with Fastr to host through Vimeo a video on our homepage. And I will say when we ran that, I think that was back in April as an initial test, everyone like internally was so excited just to like see movement on our site. Like that just like felt like a huge win, even though like so many e-commerce brands are doing it. But what we saw was like customers, when we put video on our site, we're spending a much longer time on our homepage. And then we saw a 4% increase in conversion rate week over week. So from when we had just a static image to when we had a video on site. Could have been other factors at play there too, obviously, but we just from there knew like, okay, video, like we need to keep trying this and exploring ways to kind of have it on site. And I think that's ultimately what kind of pushed us into Shopify too, of like knowing that video is something easy within their platform. So we've kind of had learnings to kind of help us make decisions through other platforms as well. But yeah, I would say overall it really is going to be just video, and like pushing our brand out there in that way is going to be super important.
Love it. Love it. I'd love to hear a little bit more about, so you're moving to Shopify. We have a lot of Shopify customers as well. And, would love to hear just your perspective on the value of Fastr and Shopify together, right? And how you're kind of viewing this kind of come together as a 1-2 punch for you, when you do get there.
Yeah, well, I think initially too, just as we're looking at Shopify, like we've already learned a lot from Fastr of things we want. Like we know like we need certain landing pages. We know we need to be able to host video. So like that is one thing, or like even inventory. We know that e-commerce needs to be able to control what the customer is seeing too. I think if anything, it's going to get us back to what we originally intended Fastr for, which is like really honing in on paid testing. Like we still want to be using it. That was like the goal is right now I think we're being pulled in so many directions of using Fastr on our site that we're not running any A/B tests on our paid landing pages, which that's like the best place to do it for us because that's where the most spend is. That's where the most
Yeah.
like the audience is coming through to us, so we can run these quick and easy tests through Fastr. What we will be doing in the fall is, as they're working on replatforming and everything, we are going to really hone in on paid, because what we find too is we're going to actually start like going back to like a weekly cadence of what is the A/B test that we're running through Fastr, or it could be, you know, a 4-way test that we do because we've seen success there and like quick learnings. But finding those learnings, because what we've seen is our most valuable customer for us comes in the fall. So we need to make sure that we are understanding this customer when they come to us for Thanksgiving or for holiday, because 2 months later we need them for Valentine's Day. So we need to have all the learnings like compacted into this fall timeframe. So I would say Fastr has helped us like know what's the most important as we re-platform to Shopify. But I think it will also allow us to now like go back to what we intended it for, of like really nice quick learnings. I think we'll still use it for brand partnerships as well, but I think it will really just like testing is going to be huge on the paid side for us as we go into the fall.
Love it. Love it. Are you using Fastr at all for quizzes or first party data collection or anything
We're
in
not, no, we're
not
not.
yet? Yeah.
Yeah, quizzes,
Yeah.
you know, even this was before Fastr, but we try to quiz and we've debated it, I'll be honest, this year too, of like, should we try a quiz? I don't know if the floral industry is just different, you know, where it's like
Yeah.
maybe you don't want to go through. It's kind of going back to my whole thing of like 15 SKUs. Like you might just want to be on the page and be like, what do you have to offer? What color do I like? Because that's
Yeah,
one way
makes
we
sense.
really see customers shop, is like color and price point. So I think if we did it, we'd have to test it like with a certain audience too, to kind of know like, is it worth their time? So no, not right now. But like I said, I think it will really just be like the A/B testing feature. I think it might still be in beta. I don't know, with Fastr. That has been huge for us, just to be able to set up tests within there. And that'll be something I think we'll just keep doing on the paid side as we go into the fall.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Well, this has been great. Any other like big priorities, big top of mind things for the back half of the year before we wrap up?
I don't think so. You know, one thing I will say that is that we've started to connect with, so originally I will say too, when we started to use Fastr, this was a brand marketing tool, and a paid marketing tool. We have since obviously brought ecom into the fold because they've seen success on their PLPs with it. They now know how to use it, maybe not as much from like the like layout and creative side of things, but they are able to go in and update if needed, messaging or prices or something like that. But what we have since done is like in the past month started like a monthly call with our ecom team of like, hey, here's what we're planning to test for the fall on the paid side. What do you guys want us to test too? What do you want to learn? That then those things that, because I said paid is such a quick learning mechanism, that we
Yeah.
can take some of that and give it back to you guys. So we've been working with them of like, well, maybe we try like certain discount messaging. Like, how are we saying 20% off? Are we testing free shipping instead of that? What are the SKUs that we're showing? Are we showing like 5 lifestyle images for our SKUs versus 5 e-commerce product photos? And so then we're kind of able to work more in tandem and give them these quick learnings that they can kind of go forth and test them on site if they want, or they can make the call and be like, look, it worked on paid through Fastr. Let's just put it up on site and see if we see a lift in conversion rate. So I think it'll just be like faster, quicker learning is going to be a priority across teams too.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, Katie, I can't thank you enough. I mean, there was so much packed into this conversation. I think you took us, all the way from, your strategy on paid to personalization to testing to your use of data. it's very obviously very clear. You're running a great business and very successful for the work that you're doing. So I hope everybody took a couple things away from today's chat. I know I did, and I've enjoyed talking to you. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.